What's up, dude?
What's up, man? Not a whole lot. Enjoying a super lazy Sunday.
Hell yeah.
I would ask if it's raining there, but it's Seattle, so I'm assuming it's
yeah,
raining.
yeah. It is always raining. No, today
Yeah.
was real nice actually. So
Well,
was
we
cool.
got the rain. It stormed all day today. I think. I looked out the window a couple times, but for most of it, I laid in my underwear and watched Netflix and was real happy.
it's a good
all
use of
day.
a Sunday.
I think it's like the exact thing you should do.
Yeah. Notice how watching football is not on that list of shit to do on Sunday.
Is football on Sunday?
Football's on every day of the week except for Saturday. That's when they do college football.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's about the only one I'll watch, and I catch that at the bar if I go out on Saturday. So I'm that asshole that's if they have it on, everyone else is just hanging out, and I'm like, well, I'll watch this. It's the only way I can watch TV when I'm out of the house. I am a sad fucker.
Dude, I can't stand bars that have televisions in them. Like, I understand, like, sports bars and stuff, but we went to a concert on Friday night, and it's a concert. But then we were, like, in the corner by the bar, which is still part of, like, the floor area. It's just, like, railed off. But there's fucking TVs everywhere, and they're just advertising all the other shit that's coming up at this location. And I couldn't stop staring at the TV. I wasn't watching the show that was happening live in front of me. I was watching I was watching Jim Jeffries' face pop up on a television. Fuck, come
Yeah.
see this guy soon.
Oh, flashing lights.
Yeah.
I get distracted easy. I can't help it. Well, today's back on track with science episodes. I think we've been kind of all over the place here lately. But as far as interesting news stories go, I think we're hopefully back on track.
We'll see.
We'll see. God, man, we try. We try real hard. Shout out to all the new followers. There's been a bunch. I'm sorry that I can't remember all of your names. Shout out to the guys down working at Grand Gulf. Melanie's been just whoring us out to those guys. And I know Moody and a couple of the other guys followed this week. So
Oh, that's cool.
welcome.
Oh yeah.
You'll be disappointed. This is... I don't even know what episode this is.
Let's make something up.
Episode 6022
Yep.
will be today.
Sounds good to me. Makes
Sounds
us look
super
a whole
official.
lot better. Yeah.
Ooh, we just crossed the 15 million listener mark, and
Yep.
next week we're meeting President Trump because it's 2017 in an alternate universe.
It's not the best universe.
Just to be clear, there is a universe where Gary is president, Trump is president, Hillary's president, and Jimmy Carter came back and is now president because, I mean, all possibilities, right?
Yeah, because why not?
Lil Wayne is president in some alternate universe.
That's probably more likely.
Probably a better option, honestly.
Fuck, it might be. I'm not a
Just-
fan of him, but you know.
just throwing out grape drink and getting crazy. Everybody's just
he
like
just
a
does
mandate.
all of his fucking speeches through auto-tune.
Just real fucked up on codeine. Fuck him, invade him. Who? Doesn't matter. Invade him.
Making that noise because he makes
Louisiana.
that. He's the one that makes that noise, right? that's him.
He's the guy that has the best. What would you call them? Analogies? I guess I heard somebody say they put a post up on Facebook that was Lil Wayne songs be like wallet in my back pocket, farted, now I call it gas money. And I lost it because if you say it in your head like a Lil Wayne voice, that could be one of his songs. Like,
Fuck, it
could
might be.
100%. 100% be on there. Um, Earlier today, I sent you a article, which I'd like to probably just start off with, kind of hit that before we get into anything that would cause a real discussion.
Sure.
And the only reason why I thought this was exciting was Science News, which is an online magazine of the Society for Science and the Public, and it just gives a ton of great stories on advancements or everything from space to what's going on in some of the things we got today are on gene therapy. And then they had a very interesting article today, which was meet the scientists making the next big discoveries, which doesn't sound like super out there, but what it basically found was this whole group of scientists are all 40 years old or younger. And what they did was they polled U.S. adults of who could name a current scientist here in the United.
Boy, that's a good question.
Right. So they went by and they were like, name a scientist, and you could just hammer out Neil deGrasse Tyson pretty easy and be like, oh, good, you knew one. 4/5 of U.S. adults, so some 90% of people, could not name a single living scientist. Not
It'd be
one.
like 80%, wouldn't it?
4/5.
Carry the one.
Carry the one. Count to two. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, I
yeah.
don't know if I could.
80%. So yeah, let's say 80% of people couldn't name a single person. They couldn't come with Neil deGrasse Tyson. They couldn't give Stephen Hawking. Give any major name that is still alive. They couldn't do it. They just stared at you. Out of the people that could, 40% of those named Stephen Hawking.
Fair enough.
That's crazy. That's almost half named one guy, Stephen Hawking, and that was all they like. Oh, Stephen Hawking. Well, who else? Nobody. So 4/5 of people couldn't name one. Out of the 1/5 that could, 40% of them only knew Stephen Hawking. The next highest response was Neil deGrasse Tyson, followed by Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall, I mean, I guess you're going a little further down there. But Science News is on like an agenda to try to get people's names out there, and the problem with this is that it's published on Science News.
Exactly.
So if you read Science News, you know a scientist already.
Right. Maybe Science News should first work on getting their name out there, and then work on getting everybody else's name out there.
So, what I thought we would do is just take a minute to go through the 10 names of people that they picked, and just a very brief, what they did. Maybe it sparks something. Maybe they just get their name and a little shout out here. Which, I mean, holy shit! The fact that 80% of people could not name a single person that works in the scientific field. That's
football. That's Sunday.
That's mainstream media making everything a news story except for news.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. My mom sent me a text message the other day. She's like, "Are you guys safe?" It's like, "Fucking from what?" She's like, "The shooting." It's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So I got online and I Googled shooting in Seattle, and lo and behold, a shit ton of articles popped up. Shooting in Seattle, shooting just north of Seattle, Seattle shooting, Seattle mall shooting. So then you click on it, and then you find out that it's actually 75 miles away from Seattle.
Yep.
In a place called Skagit.
Yeah. It was in Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah, it's not. It's so fucking yeah. Whatever. News is terrible.
Yeah, they're real bad. And this is one of the major points: is things are coming up every day like where gene editing has been successful. That we got a story that we're going to talk about today about Sugar Research Foundation paying Harvard scientists to modify stuff. So the foods you eat today were directly modified through monetary gain to give you heart disease and make you fat. And that wasn't the goal, but they hid those results so that they could get pushed through. They found drugs that are hormones in your body that can actually make you more religious. These are things that we find out every day that instead get put. Don't worry, we're getting there, buddy. I got it all.
Let's pick our favorite of these fucking scientists, or the one that stood out most to you, and then let's get to that fucking sugar talk, because I am super curious to hear about some magical shit that makes you believe in magical shit.
All right, we'll go through their names real quick with just a description, and if somebody hits on you, we'll stick, and if not, we'll move on. But at least their name will be out there. So Anil oh god damn it,
yeah. See, that's going to be the tough part about this article,
because none of them are from this god awful country that doesn't teach you anything. Anyways, Anil Agrawal is an evolutionary geneticist.
Go on. He's equally at home with real and hypothetical fruit flies. All right, on to the next.
Yeah, on to the next one. So he's a geneticist. There's not a whole lot on this guy. The poor guy is he's real good at discovering really, really small organisms. That's all you need to know.
It's so fucking crazy when they say that like 99% of the Earth's microscopic organisms have not been discovered yet. I don't understand how they can make that speculation when they
haven't been discovered.
Yeah, 1%. It's like, what are you basing that on? That's
maybe it's all of them.
Fucking crazy.
But what this guy is kind of famous for is finding out that genes passed from like shitty genes in fruit flies passed to their young. Their young had a hard time keeping their genes in good repair for the next set. So you couldn't correct. They couldn't correct poor genes. So once they started down that cycle, they were kind of screwed genetically, which shows that you kind of are. At least in fruit flies, which they're assuming this is going to go higher, is more nature than nurture. Like if you have bad genes, these fruit flies couldn't lay eggs correctly, they couldn't keep as many young alive, things like that. So that's his story. The next guy will be Phil Barron. He's a chemist who draws on artistry and creativity to effectively synthesize molecules that could improve people's lives. Good job, Phil. Jessica Cantlin.
That one was the one that stood out to me.
Yep, she's a cognitive neuroscientist. Wants to find out how humans understand numbers and where the understanding comes from. I mean, numbers are everything to us. Absolutely everything, from the fact that we've set speed limits to our universe to the quantum theory. I mean, everything is numbers that I can't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
Qian Jin, material scientist, is coaxing nanomaterials that self-assemble.
That's so
Lawrence
crazy.
Lawrence David, computational biologist, and he's tracking his own microbiome. Sure. Good job, Lawrence. Anna Friebel, astronomer, discovered the most pristine star in the galaxy.
Did they have an award show for that? Or was that just like a self-granted...
Like, did she say, like, this is the most pristine? And they're like, well, the North one's pretty good. She was like, shut your fucking face, Kevin.
I make the rules.
I make the rules. Jeremy Freeman, as a group leader at the Genelia Research Campus, he is equal parts neuroscientist, computer coder, and data visualization whiz. All right. Cheyenne Oveus Garan, theoretical computer scientist, has identified connections between unrelated fields to tackle the traveling salesman problem.
That dude.
All right. I'm checking. What is the traveling salesman problem?
I don't fucking know, dude, but that dude looks.
The traveling salesman problem is a problem that sounds simple, but the best minds of mathematics have puzzled it over generation. A salesman wants to hawk his wares in several cities. Literally an actual traveling salesman. I thought it was a euphemism. A salesman wants to hawk his wares in several cities and return home when he's done. If he's only visiting a handful of places, it's easy for him to schedule his visits and create the shortest route. But the task rapidly becomes unwieldy as the number of destinations increases, ballooning the number of possible routes. So he's doing complex computations to figure out what the best routes for an actual traveling salesman. Oh, this doesn't seem as promising of an article as when I first. Melissa Omand, right? O-M-A-N-D. Omand. Drawn to water early, oceanographer now leads research cruises studying how carbon and nutrients move throughout the sea. And Jesus Christ, dude, get fucking better names.
It's so
Tinio Popminchev, Popmintchev, has created a tabletop X-ray laser, a Swiss Army knife made of light. So, improving X-ray technologies. So anyways, those are the top 10 under 40 scientists, which means please be better scientists, because these guys made the top 10.
Or just have better names, right?
Better names. No, just what they're doing. Like, I want... These guys need to do something that allows them to be, as this article says, they need to become the Taylor Swifts of science. I think the major part is super nerds are the scientists, and then they have to try to write shit that sounds cool, and they just can't.
So, okay, so they explain the salesman's bullshit a little bit better later. They said, for a salesman's tour of 5 cities, there are just 12 possible routes. It's easy enough to pick the one that will save the most time, or the most gas, rather. But for 20 cities, there are 60 quadrillion possibilities, and for 80 cities, there are more routes than the number of atoms in the observable universe. Relying on brute force calculating the distances for all the possible routes is intractable for all but the easiest cases. Yet no one has found a simple method that can quickly find the shortest path for any number of arrangement of cities.
Isn't that the exact purpose of quantum computing?
I would think that that was the exact purpose of fucking Google Maps, but whatever.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, but
make a thing out of it.
But quantum computing's entire goal is to make large quantifiable data problems simpler, so they could run huge simulation processes in a very short amount of time, which, believe it or not, is the hardest thing for a computer to do now.
I don't know. If they're using quantum computing to figure out the fastest route from point A to point B, I'm going to be pretty fucking let down when that point A to point B is like Ohio to Pittsburgh or some shit.
And point A to point B would be easy. The problem is point A back to point A with traveling through 32 cities, hitting the most number of people and the most efficient route, both including fuel economy, time, monetary gain, number of people that would say yes the most amount of times, with geographical neighborhoods that fit the target audience, right? So like when you compile all of those questions onto one answer, that's where computers start to freak out.
Gotcha.
So yeah, if you wanted to say, hey, I want to go from San Francisco to New York in the shortest amount of time, a computer can do that pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to say, I wanted to hit every city that starts with A that has a population over 2,000, where the census says that every home except for 200 has at least 3 people living in the household and only single family homes. Like, it's when you add all of those little building blocks onto that question that it becomes.
I mean, political campaigns have all of that. That one that I worked for in Riverside has all of that information available. Like, they'll stack ridiculous information about homes in a database, and just like you said, some out of left field bullshit of exactly what you want to see, and then it pops up with like 300 homes. You're like, oh, okay. Well, that's terrifying. Good thing this fucking all these children have access to this information. That's wonderful.
That is pretty fucking terrifying. Shout out to the 10 up-and-coming scientists.
Well done. Way to be smarter than I will ever be in my entire life. Ever. Forever.
I think it's almost equally impressive that they found not really self-worth, but like interest and goal mindsets in those categories.
What do you mean?
Like, it's very easy to be self-motivated and goal interested in like being a very good basketball player, or racing cars really fast, or playing games well. But to say you're going to be the best at biomathematics
at math,
or
yeah,
it's like, oh man, I'm going to choose something really, really hard that's not exciting and that most people won't care about, and I'm going to be super motivated about it. Like, that's hard. I mean, we need you. Please don't give up. If you're out there and you're like, I don't know, math sounds fun, do that. It's just, I would think that most people would not find that exciting. Unfortunately, it's not taught to be exciting. We glorify the dumbest things. You watch men in tights move a ball across a line, and that's the most exciting thing that you can watch.
It's the best. Dude, okay. Whatever.
They have television shows that show you how stars are created. That's not interesting enough.
No, that's for losers.
Fucking nerds. Which one did you seemed real enticed about the drug that can make you more religious?
Fucking that you're finding where in like Captain Crunch or something?
No. You know what oxytocin is?
It sounds familiar. Why?
Oxytocin is a hormone that is naturally found in all people. It is given, though, as a drug to women to induce labor.
Okay.
All right. And oxytocin has been found to promote social bonding in humans. So people that are more socially needy, like people that have to be grouped in society, will have higher measurable levels of oxytocin.
Okay.
And this could be, up until now, or until I read this at least, and they're doing a study on it, it could be said that if you are more bonded with people, that would raise your oxytocin levels. But they're now finding that you could take someone that is not socially ingrained and give them hormone replacement of oxytocin, and they will become more socially dependent.
Oh, okay.
And this can be directly measured in many people as veering towards religion because of the large social aspect that comes along with it. Going to church every Sunday, meeting all these groups of people, being like-minded and volunteering with them. So much like dopamine levels can make you feel in love, oxytocin levels can make you
want to go meet other people.
Yeah, practice religion more wholeheartedly because of the grouping. Like, no one will become closet religious. Like, no one like bundles up into their hole with oxytocin replacement. Like, they search out community groups, and one of the easiest community groups to go into is a
A
church.
bar.
Yeah, or a bar. Although bars, you have to have a very type A personality to be super successful meeting people there. Where you could be extremely passive in a church, and the community will pull you in.
Ugh.
So they it was almost like a side aspect of the study found that, hey, if we gave oxytocin to people, it turns out that their love for humanity and thus spirituality increases.
That's weird. That's fucking weird.
Huh? The study participants were all male, and the findings apply only to men. Because
really?
oxytocin was already given to women in a large scale, they decided to give it to a group that never receives it, which would be men.
So men don't have oxytocin in their system?
Oh, it's normal, but it's produced more like during sex, and then for women during childbirth and breastfeeding. Now, when you want to induce labor in women, they give them more oxytocin. Well, men have never had a real reason to receive it.
Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying. Like medically, they don't
Medically, yeah.
get it. Got it.
Says participants who received oxytocin, not oxycontin, way different. Oxytocin were more inclined to view themselves as an interconnected group with other people and living things, giving higher ratings to statements as all life is interconnected. So if you did massive group studies with people that they did like a blind placebo testing, that people that received real oxytocin answered yes to feeling more interconnected with everyone else than the ones that didn't have it.
Right on.
Which isn't really unbelievable when we know the effect that other chemicals have on people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of chemicals that have crazy fucking effects on people, but just the idea of just becoming more religious sounds fucking bananas to me.
I guess saying more religious is a little strong. It's more spiritual. People didn't like all of a sudden flock to like Christianity after taking this. It was just the idea that there was a higher power, or that there was a more intertwined connectivity between people, and that in turn could lead more people
To be like less cunty, would that be be an acceptable way to put it?
Or to search out a reason at which you could end up, meditating or in a church or something like that.
I mean, how long does this stuff stay in your system for?
Well, it's always there. So if you're taking replacement therapy, I don't know what your heightened response would be afterwards. Like, would you produce more once you're on it? It does say that oxytocin did not affect all the participants equally, though. Its effects on spirituality were strongest amongst people with a particular variant of the CD38 gene, a gene that regulates the release of oxytocin in the brain. So if your genes were kind of predisposed to produce more and then you added it, it would just flood your brain with it.
Oh, so I bet they were fucking stoked to be alive.
Yeah, super happy.
Yeah, I bet. That was probably a lot of fun. How do you find out if you have that? And
I don't
where do
know.
you buy oxytocin at?
Yeah, it says they also found that oxytocin helped people feel more extroverted. They were more outgoing in general. That's
Man, I need to have a baby. Or breastfeed. I don't know, one of the two.
You might be able to just buy this stuff.
They haven't figured out that it makes people fucking see colors yet, so maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as they figure out that, it's done for. They're going to cancel the stuff.
I will Google oxytocin for sale.
See where that gets us.
Yeah.
But God damn it. What is the name of the tryptamine?
Dimethyltryptamine?
Yeah, DMT, dimethyltryptamine, has been proven to enhance spirituality through the idea that most recipients of the drug see,
The face of God?
yeah, expanded space and time, the face
Some
of
shit.
God, yeah, some shit.
How worthless they are? I've
They
heard. I don't.
experience an out of body on a larger scale. That means that, like, if you were to take 10 people and give 10 people DMT, it's like 9 of them are going to have similar experiences.
10 of them are going to throw up.
Yeah, don't
heard.
Drink and eat before you do it.
Yeah. Don't eat like a full plate of barbecue and then like, well, you want to go lose your fucking mind for a minute?
Well, let's do the most amount of DMT that we can possibly do. How much is enough? I don't know, but let's fuck this thing. Let's turn it up to 11. But when you find out that chemicals like dimethyltryptamine, which is found in almost everything, every plant, every animal, every person, they find it in lizards, it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But just taking more of it, it's illegal, right? Is this stuff illegal?
I'm pretty sure DMT is illegal.
It's classified as a narcotic. So that's crazy that something that is produced by your pineal gland is illegal.
Yep. Your brain makes it.
Yeah.
Not allowed to
But if
have
your
that.
brain makes too much, you're going to jail.
So in 1970, DMT was classified as a Schedule 1 drug under the Controlled Substances Act in 1971.
Nice.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
In 1971, DMT was found to be endogenous to the human body.
Yeah, it makes you realize this world's not real and that you live in the Matrix. So, there's that. And if you find out the lizard people are in charge, they'll kill you.
Oh, endogenous means having an internal cause or origin. So they're referencing the origin is created in the human body.
Yet still illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So ironically, it is illegal to possess a compound which is in fact naturally inside of all of us.
I mean, I don't believe that THC should be illegal, but at
Oh.
least they could have the effect that it's not produced by your brain. That's like making adrenaline illegal or something.
The DEA just turned down turning THC into reducing its schedule.
Right, I saw that, and then not simultaneously, it was actually a little while later, they had finally admitted that there are some anti-carcinogenic properties. It can actually be proven now that cannabinoids can slow or reverse the growing of cancer cells, but they then said that there was no medical benefit. It cures cancer, but there's no medical benefit.
They're gonna stop fucking around eventually, right?
It's getting close. They're starting to contradict themselves because the evidence is piling up to the point where they come back to the point to make this illegal, you have to show that it hurts people, and because they can't find a single documented instance that directly links marijuana use to over intoxication that led to death or permanent disability,
Mm-hmm.
they're having a real hard time keeping up the fact that like so far the only thing they can hold on to is that it's not proven to help you. But there's a lot of things that are legal that are proven to hurt you. So how is just not being proven to help you a stance to keep it illegal? Like cigarettes are proven to hurt you,
Yeah,
but
those things
legal.
don't do anything for you.
Alcohol has been linked thousands and thousands of times over to be directly linked to death. You can drink too much alcohol and die. It's a fact. Nobody disputes it. But you can't, unless you die of lack of oxygen from smoking so much weed that you don't breathe, you can't die from it.
But yeah, and even then, you're not dying from smoking too
No.
much weed. You're dying from being an asshole.
Yeah, you could have burned paper and died that way. Like,
Right.
it's smoke inhalation that you would die from. The stance on it has got to turn. It's just got to end because okay, let's take, since we're going down this route, let's take recreational properties out of it. Even medical properties take out of it. Hemp grows so much faster than trees that if they hadn't have made it illegal, more than likely all of our wood would have been replaced with hemp brick a long time ago. And it's completely renewable, and it renews in months instead of years. It's a better product for rope. It's a better product for all this. So even if you just
For
go
paper,
with
yeah, it's just a better fucking. It's just better.
So if you go to textile only, if we're just talking about renewable resources for producing things that we use, you should be allowing people to grow hemp, which the THC count's so low that you just couldn't. It's not a drug. Like, it's not viable to grow those massive hemp trees and then smoke them. It's not like getting some pure strain sativa that they're growing in Colorado. Like, it's not the same.
Right. Yeah, it's my parents at their work sell an offshoot of a tobacco plant, and it has no salvia. Like, you can buy salvia at any garden shop, and you can't go home and burn those leaves. That's not going to fucking do anything for you at all. It's not the same thing. It's not
Yeah, but
tobacco.
salvia will fuck you up.
No, like, you could go smoke a fucking salvia leaf from a garden store right now. Nothing happens. Like, it's one particular type of salvia. It's Salvia divinorum that will do terrible things to you.
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like salvia makes me see some weird shit.
But it's like it's yeah. Comparing
same type
comparing
deal.
Marijuana and hemp are two different. It's two
Right.
different things.
So could we at least separate those things and start making a renewable resource that is? It's awesome. I mean, the high-end stores sell imported hemp oils and always imported lotions and hair products because it's just really
Fucking
good for you.
proteins and like all those Onnit commercials.
Yeah.
They're always talking about hemp this, hemp that, and like you said, it's all imported because you can't grow a fucking plant. You have to go to Canada to get a certain type of plant that they grow there. It's fucking ridiculous.
So the idea that oxytocin can enhance spirituality, I totally agree with. There's a reason why we have spirituality in the first place, and it is a chemical reason. It has to be. And in my eyes, I mean, I don't believe that humans do basically anything without also incorporating biology into our makeup.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't want to say there is no free will. I'm just saying that everything we do, part of it is biological. There is a reason why we have imagination, and there's a reason why spirituality is a thing. There's a reason why grouping and hierarchy is a thing, why we have to have a king monkey at the top of the branch. There's a reason for it. And I believe that at least partially it all stems from our biological makeup, which is the chemicals released in our brains.
Okay. Gotcha.
So the chemical that makes us want to be together, they believe, has been triggered down to at least mostly to do with oxytocin. And they can prove it by upping the amounts of oxytocin in your brain. You want to be with people more.
I don't know if I want to be with people more. I think I just want to have access to my internet and my Chipotle. Like, if I don't know if I need that. I don't know if I need. If I could do that in the middle of the fucking woods,
What if they took the most introverted person, like somebody that just, when they get around people, they fucking vomit immediately, like they just can't deal with it, and then you just give them oxytocin, and then they could stand people.
I wonder if it would be something where they're like, "Oh shit, this isn't so bad," and then as soon as it wore off, they just started freaking out again, or if it would be like
Right.
"Oh wow, this isn't so bad,"
It's like a train response, like once you start giving it.
or just like a permanent solution.
I don't know. Which I'm hoping that's why this study is happening. I mean, this was September 21st, 2016 that this paper was written.
Oh, right on.
So it's pretty fresh, and I'm hoping that something comes of it. If we could let go of the idea that we are special butterflies and start looking at ourselves as a chemical makeup that can be corrected, we could make a better version of ourselves.
Oh, I mean, they're totally working on that. I mean, they do that with kids with being overly medicated, right? Is there
I believe that we are starting to work towards that. My problem comes into another story I wanted to talk about, which was the gene editing thing that's happening right now. Right now, the ethics committee has to approve what research is done. And I get it to maybe a point. I can kind of understand it, where you shouldn't be allowed to sell your kid to some research facility to prod around in his brain or something. But
why not?
I mean,
I'm kidding.
You shouldn't be able to sell your kid. But
I
if they want to
mean-
grow their own, I don't care. A lot of our research is hindered by the fact that they can't get an ethical approval to conduct the research.
And what is the research like? Is there one type of research specifically that you're talking about? Or
So stem cell research was the big one
Uh-huh.
for a long time. And believe it or not, Bush opened up some of those, which seems weird for a conservative to do. But there,
makes you wonder
yeah.
who's in control, anyways.
So stem cell research wasn't allowed for a very long time because they had to take genes from aborted fetuses. This is where they were getting their majority of their working material.
Yeah, just the dumpster out back at Planned Parenthood. I remember
So-
was the conversation for a while.
Right, that was what they were accused of doing. And the problem is, they were saying it was completely ethical and legal to have an abortion, but it wasn't ethical or legal to use the aborted fetus for research. That's like saying it's ethically okay to shoot yourself in the head, but it's not okay to die. Like, if one is already happening, why does it matter what happens afterwards?
Is it the butterfly remark? Is that the correct answer? Is it the we're all pretty butterflies and
So you could now, if we're going ethical with it, like it's okay to kill an unborn child, but it's not okay to test that unborn child or use its stem cells for research. Like, how is one okay but not the other? Is my deal. Like, I could get it if abortions were completely illegal and you could never have one under any circumstances, and therefore, if your company got caught using aborted fetuses, you needed to go to jail because you were giving a reason to promote an illegal activity. But if it's already legal, how the fuck is it wrong then?
It's
Like, no, you have to throw that away. You can't use it for anything.
That's fucking ridiculous. I don't maybe because there's a group of people who are very fucking loud that have this belief in these magical things, that magical things have to happen or will happen, and they're gonna go to fucking fairy embryo land and just live in a pile of gold with all of the things that they could ever imagine. Which
You gotta turn it into a lubricant.
yeah, yeah. And instead of like, they want it to be easier on their mind than it doesn't seem like this group of people considers like the forward movement of like research and humanity and discovering things and potentially saving millions of lives at some point in time. Instead, it's like, well, you can't do that to that because Jesus.
Right.
So, yep, that, I mean, I don't have an argument. It's just, I just have this book that somebody wrote a long, long fucking time ago, and it doesn't say anything about that either. But, you know, Jesus.
Yep. And the problem with that is when you set the bar so low for ethical standards, like the stem cell research, which is already aborted fetuses can't be used for research. That's how low, to me, that's a super, super low bar. If it's already done and that was okay, but you gotta just destroy that, you can't use it for research. That separation's so low that there's no way to get approval for things like gene editing. And gene editing is completely illegal as long as completely legal as long as you do not allow that embryo to grow past 14 days.
So is this okay? I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. So is this like the embryo is inside of its mother?
No.
And
It's what they do is they take in vitro therapy where I don't know how much you know about in vitro, but so let's say husband and wife go in, they can't have kids, they go to in vitro. He gives a sperm sample, they take eggs, and then they have like 3 shots at it at most places.
okay,
And they will artificially inseminate in a test tube, and they'll grow that embryo and then implant it, that's the in vitro part, into the wife, and she will carry the child to term.
okay,
If the first one takes, you got 2 left over.
sure,
Then those can go off to a research facility where they can start doing experiments on gene splicing using the CRISPR-Cas9, which is where they've made proteins that are able to slice very precisely DNA and rearrange them.
okay,
So you can cure things like Down syndrome. You can get rid of most diseases, genetically transferable, and sickle cell anemia could be a thing of the past. We can now erase these by scanning embryos at, like, I guess that would be contraception, like at that point, and then you could align everything. Hell, you could give your kid blue eyes instead of brown. Like, they can go as far as they want to. You could make perfect children free of genetically transmitted diseases. Now, getting things afterwards, like, that's nothing you can do, but birth defects could be pretty much eradicated. But even though those cells were given and a waiver has to be signed to use those for research, they can only let them grow basically in a petri dish for 14 days, and they have to be destroyed. They can never be implanted and brought to term.
okay. I understand what you're saying.
So scientists right now are making genetically perfect children and then destroying them.
So on the ethics side of this, wouldn't that take away individuality? Wouldn't we just make there would be no. You and I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation because we would just have the same fucking feelings about everything.
If
Nothing's
they
fucking
took it
interesting
so
anymore.
far as to write your code. But what they're doing is taking husband gene, wife gene, implanting
I
in the
got you.
egg,
All right.
starting, and then they're going, okay, we're seeing the precursors for Down syndrome here. We will remove that extra chromosome. Now this child will no longer have Down syndrome. That nothing else has been changed. Now, the idea that you could start changing things like eye color and everything else, that is possible. But we already do this with cattle. Like we get rid of a lot of inherent genetic diseases in our livestock, and that's where this idea comes from. But it was messy before the CRISPR-Cas9 stuff. Now we can do it to such a precise, like this gene, this link right here. Like we can separate that strand of DNA and replace it, or remove this extra chromosome. Like you can go in and make such finite changes. But at a certain point, they have to allow this to be produced into a child, or we'll never know.
Oh, so they're just like, I got you. That's
So they fix it, and then they let it grow for 14 days. And if it grows normal for 14 days, they call it a success, and then they burn it.
what a fucking waste. What a waste of
Because
time.
they can't, if they could get approval from the ethics committee, they could give that now in vitro to, let's say those parents, they go in, they take his sample, they take her sample, and instead of immediately trying to give them a child, they sent it off to a lab. And they grew that for 14 days, and they said, all right, we've corrected this, we've corrected that. If there was an issue, or let's just say they cleaned up the genes. They got rid of old stuff that we don't need anymore.
Like your
Tonsils.
appendix.
Yeah,
Tonsils.
appendix. Let's just
Wisdom
say they
teeth.
removed it. Yep. All right. Tonsils gone. Appendix gone. Anything else? We're going to put in this gene that will prohibit cancer cells from growing. We'll add that. What do you want? You want blue eyes? All right, we'll go blue eyes. And then they do the in vitro.
I wonder if they could do one brown eye and one blue eye.
Ooh, go Husky. I like it.
Costs extra.
We have the technology right now to do that. Instead, ethically, we have to let you gamble on the chance of having a Down syndrome kid.
And that's against ethics, right?
Right. That's
See,
the issue.
I understand. I was looking at it super close-minded, like, oh, scientists are just making babies, and like you said, no, it's just these parents, and then they're having a kid. It's not like science.
Yeah, we're not
scientists
building.
are in there just pulling levers, just producing
Right.
fucking babies, and they're just getting burnt. Like that's not.
Yeah, they're not taking. The proteins can only remove sections. Right now, we're not going in and like starting with gel and then writing DNA code.
Mm-hmm.
So this child has no parents, no race, no nothing. It's written by a computer, and here is your person. We're still taking what would be a child and just tweaking the code a little bit to make it its best version of itself. And that's not okay. It's only ethical if you take the gamble and maybe end up with a dysfunctional child, like someone that cannot be successful. They're going to have a miserable life. Like that, you have to take that chance. When, as it sits right now, with just a few trial runs, we could be, because the technology's there, it just hasn't been proven in a living, breathing child. We'd have to pump out some to realize it in like practical application. And they won't allow that to happen. They won't allow that step. But once that step happens, you're going to see, I mean, we could just start getting rid of diseases. Fetal mortality rate, I mean, it's...
Yeah, that would probably fall off at least a little bit, right?
You would think they'd be all on board for that, but they're not. So, anyways, right now,
Fucking don't get it, man.
the Cas9 is the DNA cutting protein that is just fantastic. And let me bring up where I'm at on it here. It's again on Science News. New era of human embryo gene editing begins. Chinese researchers have twice reported editing genes in human embryos that they were unable to develop into a baby. But developmental biologist Fredrik Lennar in Stockholm is the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm is the first researcher to publicly acknowledge editing genes in a viable human embryo. This is the one that they've been growing them for 14 days. He says that there are many other research facilities doing this exact same work with the Cas9 DNA cutting protein.
Okay.
And he says they are just not coming forward because they do not have approval from ethics committees to do this. So private firms in certain places can get away with this stuff. Again, you just cannot bring them to fruition. CRISPR's ease and precision have made the prospect of editing human embryos inevitable. A stem cell biologist, says Chad Cohen, he's a stem cell biologist at Harvard. Now that it can be done and garner considerable attention, it's basically light to moss. There will be certain people who will find it irresistible to do it, whether it's scientifically justified or not. So he's saying the technology has gotten so good and it's so precise now, it's going to be impossible to say no to forever. Like, everyone is going to do this. It would be the same as me telling you that using computers are illegal. They're unethical to use a computer, and it was MS-DOS for years, and then now we have Windows. And it's like, well, everyone can do it, so how are you going to stop everyone from just using it? People are just going to do it because it's almost point and click now. Sweden and other countries do require proper scientific justification and ethical oversight. America has such thing. But even with justification, researchers are reluctant to talk to reporters before their work has been published in scientific journals because of scrutiny and afraid of being shut down. So the altered embryos will be discarded after 14 days of growing in a laboratory dish and would not be implanted into a uterus to establish pregnancy. Such work would lead to insights which could have big impacts clinically, but again, they're not allowed. So
that's fucking silly.
Yeah, we could be making metahumans. We could just be getting rid of bad genes. But you can't mess with people because they're special.
Just why? And it's not even that it's somebody else's own personal, like, in order to make myself feel good, I have to go tell people that they can't do something that will make that human being's life less miserable.
Right. I guess, what is the fear of the outcome?
I wonder if they cure somebody of Down syndrome while they're a fetus, if they come out and they still look like they have Down syndrome. Or if, like, the whole...
I don't think so. I think it's all gone.
But why the fuck... Why do they all look the same?
It's an extra gene. An extra chromosome.
And that just makes you look like that?
Yeah, their entire makeup has an extra chromosome attached to it.
I might delete this part of the podcast because it sounds a little fucking rude, but...
No,
I mean on my part.
What, that you say that Down syndrome people look super downy?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. It's not rude. They look like they have Down syndrome. Like, you've never met somebody and been like, oh shit, I didn't know you had Down syndrome. Right? And not to say that some have there's that kid, I keep watching this video. You want to talk about fucking inspiring. There's that kid with Down syndrome that is the bodybuilder. I got to give his name out here. I can't just say kid with Down syndrome.
Would you Google Down syndrome kid with
Bodybuilder.
bodybuilder? Yeah.
That exact phrase, kid with Down syndrome bodybuilder. Boom, there he is. All right. Let me. I'm gonna pause this video so it doesn't play. But oh, awesome. There's no story. Anyways, if you Google that,
He looks like Chuck Berry.
Colin Clark is this kid's name. He does kind of look like Chuck Berry. So Colin Clark, if you guys want to know who we're talking about, is a very inspirational young man who had Down syndrome. He was very introverted and kind of found his way into a gym for whatever reason. And the guy that ran the gym, he said, like, I want to be a bodybuilder. Like, I want to look like you. And they're like, all right. The kid became super dedicated, and he's in better shape than I'll ever be in my entire life. Like, he did amazing things. So not to say that, like, people go, oh, you said he'd be useless to society. I guess the point is there's no way he would be less useful, right? Like, if you correct, no one with Down syndrome would be worse off if they didn't have it.
Yeah.
So what's the ethical principle behind not allowing it to be cured? I don't know.
You got me, man. I don't get it.
So yeah, that was that whole spiel on gene editing. I am super for gene editing. I wish you could edit later on in life. Like, if I could go lay down and you put that CRISPR shit in me, and then my hair grows back in the places it's fallen out, and real small things. I mean, like, imagine if cosmetic surgery was no longer cosmetic surgery, but it was like you morphed a new nose because something went in and sliced up the individual molecules. And you're just sitting there and you're like, oh
creepy.
my God, that looked great now.
That, yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, if it could just, like, make me better, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, make it so I don't have to fucking work so hard in school. Just make me smart, please. That'd be nice.
All right. Are we done with super deep conversations on whether or not you should cut up babies?
I mean, we probably are a little past the point of being done. Actually, it probably could have stopped a couple minutes ago, and everyone would have been happier.
So I get real pissy when people that I consider to be far less intelligent than myself, and I consider myself to be probably on the bottom 5% of smart, like, of the range of people, dumb to smart. But people below that are who make the decisions. So that bothers me. You want to get in on some sugar industry
Yeah, that one sounded.
exploits? I got
Got it.
that, some Snapchat and some SpaceX, and then I'm all out.
Right on. Oh yeah.
I'm assuming everyone knows the food chart, the food pyramid, rather. That said the base of all meals needed to be bread. And that the very smallest of those needed to be sweets, right? Like desserts. The problem with that pyramid is bread and those sugary sweets are literally the same thing. Your body cannot distinguish simple sugars from one another. Whether you're taking in grains of sugar or you're breaking down white bread, the end result is a spike in blood sugar levels. So the problem is, for many, many years, there's been this idea in America and other places, but really, really big here, and it has to do with our grain industry, that with every meal you should consume bread, which is not naturally found. So why would we need it? And someone has finally started breaking through that barrier of asking, like, why would people need their basis of nutrition to come from something that would never be found in nature?
Sure, that makes sense. It makes
So
a ton of sense, actually.
it seems like it would be. But they've told you that whole grains are essential, and like white bread's not that great for you because it's been all bleached out. You don't need it. You don't need any of it. And this article kind of hit home just from I switched over at the beginning of this year to ketogenic, which is almost no breads, right?
Okay. How hard was that?
It's hard at first, but it's like I don't want to get too I don't want to get too much into just like I did this diet, but I'm down 55 pounds. I feel incredible. It completely changed my life.
So was it hard? Was it hard in the beginning because you didn't know what else to pick to eat, or was it hard in the beginning because you were just going through fucking like cravings or withdrawals or whatever?
It's kind of twofold. The first week I went through withdrawals, like a fucking heroin addict withdrawals. Got sick, and it's called the keto flu. And it's your body has become so dependent on sugar to burn for energy. Right? We've been told, everyone was told, low fat is the way to go. There's low fat salad dressings and low fat this and low fat that.
Yeah.
Fat's bad. If you eat fat, you have fat, right? That's the idea.
Logical.
If you put the fat in your body, that's the fat on your body. And part of that is because of this report that we'll get to. But truth be told, from an actual scientific standpoint, your body burns fat for fuel if you'll just let it. That's its point. That's the point of fat reserves.
That's why it stores fat. Yeah.
So if you were to eat a lot of fruit and vegetables during the times when they're good and abundant, during the spring and summer months, you would pack on fat because your body would convert those sugars into fat that is on your body. That's where the fat that's on your body comes from. Then, when winter came around and us as primitives could only hunt the animals and weren't going to get the sugar input that we would normally get from all the berries and apples and fruits that we could collect, then our body would eat and burn the fat that we stored for energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go through this cycle. All of these diet plans and things that you can go on are kind of like a temporary fix. If you just stop consuming simple sugars, and mostly that's bread, it's carbohydrates, bread, it would be sugars without fiber. So if you take in carbohydrates with fiber at a 1-to-1 ratio, you're fine. Your body uses that for other purposes and gets rid of it. What you look for is net carbs, which are simple sugars your body takes in not attached to fiber.
Okay.
It becomes unusable. It just spikes your blood sugar. Your body will use it for energy because it's abundant. It's like pouring gasoline in there. And once it runs out, you get those sugar crashes.
Mm-hmm. Or
so
hangovers.
I didn't know a lot of these things were related, but like when I was 19, I got put on high cholesterol medication. I was skinny, but high cholesterol. And they told me it was genetic, and it was just how it was going to be. And I took it for that. So I've been on Lipitor for 10 years.
Fucking wow, dude.
So I went ketogenic back in April. Lost 55 pounds. I don't take in simple sugars anymore, and I go for blood work, right? And the doctor takes my stuff, and he goes, oh, it says here you're prescribed Lipitor. I'm going to take you off of that. I was like, well, why? And he said, oh, well, your cholesterol levels are well within normal levels.
Man.
And I was like, oh, well, won't isn't that because of Lipitor? But I didn't take it regularly. I kind of slacked off because I didn't think it was doing anything. My numbers never went down. I said, I don't really take it anyways. And he goes, yeah. Those kind of just help your body process the high cholesterol, but you won't really see your points come down. And since it came down this much, that's not medication. So they kept me on this shit for 10 years knowing that it wasn't really going to fix me.
The ketogenic diet didn't start fucking yesterday either. Like, it's been around for a while.
It's just picking up a ton of traction since people, especially athletes, and big fucking shout out Joe Rogan. That's who I started doing it from. These guys have a voice now that gets heard by so many people.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to ignore this many people coming forward and saying, I'm super healthy. And the reason why is I do this. I don't eat low-calorie shit. I eat butter with almost every meal. It's so counterproductive, or not counterproductive, but counterintuitive to what you would think is the right way to eat.
Certainly from what we've been told.
And the reason that this story popped into my head was because of this. Because I know this works, so this isn't just fucking malarkey. And what this is from is the headline is Sugar Industry Sought to Sugarcoat Causes of Heart Disease. Now, that, if you scroll down into this thing a little bit, it says payments revealed to authors of influential 1967 report touted fat as cholesterol problems and heart problems.
I remember that.
So what happened was in 1967 in the New England Journal of Medicine, there was a report in which I got to remember the name of these people. The Sugar Research Foundation is the name of this, and they were owned by sugar companies. As it was named at the time, paid professors who wrote a 2-part review in 1967 that was highly skeptical of linking sugar to cardiovascular problems. And the report said that without a doubt, to reduce the risk of heart disease was a matter of reducing saturated fat and cholesterol, not sugar. Giving us the pyramid in which breads are your main meal of the day. It's the highest profit margin. It's cheapest to produce and yielding the highest gains. All bread costs, I guess, about the same to produce. But if you call one like fancier, charge more.
Nice.
So
That's
like
cool.
Yeah.
We should start making bread. Fuck this podcast shit. Well, I guess maybe now's not the time. Maybe that ship has sailed.
Yeah, we should wait a little bit. But all this did was push everybody off onto the idea that taking in fats is what was bad for your heart because it was fat blockage that was giving it to you.
Yeah.
And as long as no one looked into the fact that unused sugar converted to fat in your body, they were fine because people are not smart. And if you tell people that if you take this glob of fat and put it in your mouth, it'll go straight to your hips.
Yep.
It's just where it goes.
Yeah. That's where that's its home.
And then bread became the obvious, easiest food delivery system.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's super easy.
Yeah.
So hamburgers and sandwiches and hell, we even have bread bowls and like it's so easy to deliver food on that it just blew up.
I don't know
Especially
if I could
back
ever
then.
not eat bread. It'd be real good for me, but I don't know. I don't know if I fucking could, dude. Especially no more clam chowder in a bread bowl. That's
Yeah. So current studies estimate the diets that are high in sugar carry a 3-time higher risk of death from cardiovascular disease than those with a low sugar diet. There is no such correlation between that and a high-fat diet.
so I'll die sooner than you.
Maybe.
I'm
Your
fine
body
with that.
processes sugar a lot better than mine does, though.
For now.
I mean, that's we ate the exact same meals every day for months, and I gained 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's and we did the exact same physical activity.
For sure.
So there's going to be people that say I eat bread all the time and I'm fine. That's true. You can be fine.
Yeah, that's the everything's fine over here. I don't know what you guys are talking about
Yeah.
argument.
Much like it was cold today, there's no global warming.
Exactly.
The large scope of population has gotten fatter and at a very rapid rate from the late 60s when the pyramid and the idea of hybrid diets was introduced.
I had to take Chipotle is my fucking favorite, dude, and burritos are what if I were religious, I would believe in burritos.
The
But
almighty burrito.
I would rather worship burritos. But I had to take I don't eat it with a tortilla anymore, and I don't get cheese or sour cream on it anymore cuz it puts me the fuck to sleep. As soon as I eat it, I could just shut down, and that's
I still go to Chipotle. I do the salad, no rice, no beans. But I do cheese and sour cream and guac. Sometimes no sour cream, but the dairy's not too bad. Dairy has its own issues,
sure.
which you don't have to deal with sugar intake too much. But you shouldn't just pile on. And man, I want to say something. This is an observation.
Don't
From
get
Chipotle.
into it. Don't get
Got
into
to.
it. Skip it. Skip it. Skip it. For sure, skip it.
I'm going to ask you later, and if you think it's all right to say, we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, I've switched over to the salad thing, and it's still good. I miss beans, and beans aren't too bad because they're high in fiber, but they are real high in carbohydrates. And you don't have to go extreme on the diet, especially if you're not trying to lose weight. Just
Watch what the fuck you're eating.
stop eating bread for every fucking meal.
Yeah.
You can't wake up and have toast and then have a sandwich for lunch and then eat pasta for dinner.
Yeah.
It's just too. If you lived in the wild, if you were just an animal, a fucking person, what would you eat?
If you were my dogs, you find fucking pizza and dinner rolls and bushes all the time.
If you were a human, if you were a person 1,000 years ago, what would you eat?
Shitty food.
You'd
Rocks.
eat meat, and there just wouldn't be a lot of, what's that shit that everybody says they have an allergy to?
GMO.
No.
Gluten.
Gluten. So you just wouldn't be taking in all that. And it's to think that we manufactured something that should be the basis of our caloric intake. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
That's
and the human
crazy.
body's like, I don't want that.
Yeah. It'd be like if I made this mat for my mouse and was like, no, you're supposed to eat this all the time. They're like, well, that doesn't occur in nature. I know, but this is what you should. 90% of everything you eat should be this. You'd be like, no, dude, that's a mat. But because we somehow tricked a bunch of scientists, we paid them because people are incorruptible. Obviously, we paid them to say that it's wheat. We grow it and then we add a bunch of shit to it and churn it up and add yeast and grow it into a big sugary ball of doom. And then you're like, well, it's not candy. But it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so that was the sugar thing. 1967, a bunch of companies got together and paid this. Let's go.
We were talking about kids cereal yesterday, and the last time I had a bowl of Lucky Charms was a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure my heart almost beat itself to fucking death. So I can't imagine putting all of that into something that weighs 1/10 of my weight.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they weigh more than that, but
I wanted to give some of the companies. So with the JAMA study, was Marion Nestle,
Sure.
Coca-Cola.
Nice.
Those are the only two that are listed in this thing. So there's Marion Nestle with basically paid somebody at the New York University, wrote that industry influence has not disappeared. She cited the New York Times investigation of Coca-Cola sponsored research with the Associated Press revealing that candy trade group sponsored research attempting to show that children who eat sweets have healthy body weights. So these companies have been paying people just to say nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Just a fucking lie.
Yeah. Coke and
Meanwhile,
Nestle.
the ethics board is like, don't do that.
Yeah, don't make kids healthier.
Yeah. Eat
Make
more
them
bread.
fatter.
Shut the fuck up and eat more bread. Stop fucking with the babies over there, idiot. Here's some bread. And then they just feed you Pop-Tarts, which are delicious.
And this guy says a very good point down here. It says sugar, fat, and cholesterol and other opponents of a diet are some of good and bad. He says some of both, and this relates to earlier on in the article. He says making research into their effects much more nuanced. And unlike tobacco, the solution can never be not to eat them. He believes solutions won't involve a turning single nutrient like sugar into villains, but promoting better overall patterns of eating. So for most people, if you just balance them out, I think breads, I mean, for the most part, like you can indulge, but you definitely shouldn't be a daily activity. But you treat them like you do a candy bar. Like if you would eat a candy bar, like I've been good this week, I'll have a Snickers. Do that. Friday we all get together and we have spaghetti. But don't do pastas for dinner,
yeah, like you said,
3 or 4
earlier.
nights a week,
Toast
with
in the
bread,
morning.
with toast,
Yeah.
with orange juice is the fucking big one. It's like the highest sugared thing that I cut out of my life. I didn't realize it.
That would explain why it helps with hangovers. So
Yeah.
you shove all that fucking sugar back into your system. It's like, alas.
I can get up and go do things.
I'm alive again.
Hoobastank. So that was that. And then we'll go last real news story, and then I'll hit you with something good, and then I'm all done for this one.
Right on, man.
Last one's pretty quick here. SpaceX, that failure that happened with the Falcon 9 that exploded.
Did they find
if
the
you guys
alien?
haven't watched the video on that, for sure do, because it is Michael Bay film worthy.
Fuck yeah, it is, dude. That's what I compared it to, too.
Yeah.
Too.
And it was perfect. Yeah, perfect comparison. This thing looks like it's out of a sci-fi movie. Anyways, they found it to be a breach in the second stage helium tank.
So it wasn't a space alien.
Wasn't space aliens. Nope.
Okay. So did it just like... Was it a break or was it like a... Did they get into it at all?
All it says is that they've exonerated any connection with last year's CRS-7 mishap, and that at this stage of the investigation, the preliminary review of the data and debris suggests that a large breach in the cryogenic helium system of the second stage liquid oxygen tank took place. All plausible causes are being tracked in an extensive fault tree and carefully investigated. So they don't know what caused it, but that's where it started.
Oh, okay. That was so weird when that article first came out, when they were like, just the way that they... I guess
Elon
it was
Musk
a
is
good
asking
way
for your
to
cell
like...
phone videos.
Yeah, sensationalize it to make it sound like, oh, fucking... Here we go. Space aliens.
Well, what did it say? Elon Musk is not ruling out aliens as possible cause.
Yeah.
And his actual quote was, "We don't know what it was at this point."
It's a good job.
They were like, "Was it aliens?" And he was like, "I don't know."
Fuck, could have been.
Yeah.
I don't know everything.
So that was SpaceX. We'll tell you more when we get to it. And then the final thing I've got for you is something that I know you're going to be super excited about. Snapchat is now Snap Incorporated, and they are launching their first product. It's sunglasses with a camera that will pick up 30 seconds of video at a time.
Whoa.
Don't worry, buddy. I'll send you the link.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I'll stop Googling it then.
There it is. So the device which the company is calling spectacles, they're not calling them spectacles. That's just the name of glasses. That'd be like if they were like Snapchat now calling these glasses. They're okay. Anyways, will go on sale later this year, and they're priced at $130. They'll record up to 30 seconds of video at a time. And during the announcement, Snapchat decided to rename itself Snap Incorporated.
Snap Inc. Wow. Why?
Glasses will be on a limited release, and if those in the picture are the actual glasses, because they look photoshopped as shit.
Oh, yeah,
but
they
if those
do.
are the actual glasses, they are hideous, which means people will buy them.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They show that super asshole a little further down with the Google glasses.
That guy is a super asshole.
He looks ridiculous.
Did you read the caption for that? Google Glass was an ill-fated project that many felt made the wearer look foolish. Yes. Indeed,
the guy's
it
just
fucking
taking
does.
He's taking like a creeper photo of the girl in front of him, too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, busted.
It does say that this is like they're going to throw it out slowly as an approach to figure out if it fits into people's lives. So, anyways, pre-order yours today.
What? Don't. Please don't.
I'm going to get a pair instantly and
No.
just wear them. I want some in safety glasses. And then I'm just going to Snapchat. Dude, I've been on a Snapchat rant lately.
Oh, really? I haven't touched it since I left.
Oh, if you log on,
Midwest.
you've got to have 500 for me.
I
I
had
went
a couple
to like
from you
a
the other
petting
day.
zoo. Or it was a Harley dealership that was also a barbecue joint and also had a bunch of like animals out back. And I was just Snapchat after Snapchat. It was just gold at that place.
I had
I like
one of George climbing into a truck with
Dick in the butt.
a dick, painted. Yeah.
I like doing that. That's thanks, Salo. Salo put me on that. That dude used to do it to everybody. I would just get countless snaps of drawn peni on people's faces. Oh, well, that's what I got for the week in science.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to call it early. I have my first day of school in the morning, or the first day back at least. Quarter starts tomorrow.
No, man, I'm happy about it. I think we covered a bunch of good stuff. Hopefully, we got our first sets of comments on the Podbean app, which means it's getting used on there. Also, dude, I'm super stoked. I went to the comedy section on the Podbean app, and we are on the same page as freaking Joe Rogan and is it Mark Maron?
Did you
No,
say
Bill Burr.
You said Bill
It
Burr,
was-
right? Okay.
Yeah, Bill. It's like Joe Rogan, Bill Burr, and then you scroll down, still on the same page, and the Horrible Influence is listed as popular comedy podcast.
Awesome.
That's-
Fucking neat.
That is huge news, man. I'm getting pretty stoked about the what we're seeing. So
Yeah.
thank you to everybody for the support.
Leave a review. Even if it's bad. I don't give a fuck. Leave a review. Say
Reviews
something.
and ideas. If you
Show
guys
us
catch
that you have
something,
a pulse.
yeah, if you guys catch something that we don't see, that you just want to hear more about, let us know, and we will dig into it. I like researching the stuffs. Gives my life purpose. All right,
Purpose
dude, you got
is
anything
good.
else?
Did we talk about this before the Twitter thing? Like we keep trying to spell out what our Twitter handle is, but if you just type @horrible influence, we pop up. So you don't have to search like literally how it's
Oh,
spelled.
no.
So if you just type @HORR IBLE space. Yeah, it's all there. It fucking pops up. So,
Dude, that's how. I just want to say that's how popular we are. That's all right. Well, that's awesome. So hit us up on Twitter. Just search for Horrible Influence on Twitter, and apparently it pops up now. That is news to me. That's awesome. So we can stop trying to spell out HORBL.
yeah, I'll stop
Crap.
making that a scene. Sorry about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, so search for us on there. Facebook.com/Horrible Influence and HorribleInfluence.popping.com is where you can go to leave all of your comments. You can email us. We're on fucking Google and Google Plus, all at Horrible Influence.
Hell yeah.
All right, we will see you next week and Friday for gaming.
Sounds good.
Bye.